Mac-based authentication is a reliable way to make sure only approved devices can connect to your network. Once configured, the switch uses the device's MAC address as the username to authenticate against a Radius server. MAC authentication can be done with or without EAP encapsulation, depending on the setup. It's useful for devices that don't support traditional logins, like IP phones, printers, or IoT gadgets. If you would like to use the graphical user interface to set this up, click in the description. In this episode of Cisco Tech Talk, I'll show you how to configure Mac-based authentication on Catalyst 1300 switches via command line interface, CLI, next. I'll start with a look at my network topology. I have two Catalyst 1300 switches. One will be used as the Radius server, the other as the authenticator. The authenticator will allow the supplicant devices like computers or phones to connect and be authenticated on the network. First, configure the switch that will act as the Radius server. Log into the CLI of the switch and enable Radius server functionality. After that's enabled, configure a group. Give the group a name. After it's created, you'll see a variety of options. For this demonstration, I'll leave them all at the default. Now you can set up the Network Access Server, NAS secret, for the authenticator switch. This is the shared secret key. You'll need the IP address of the switch that will function as the authenticator. Specify a key. I'll use example. Next, configure the user that you want to allow access. This user will be identified by the MAC address of the device. Simply copy and paste the MAC address into the required field. It's important to use the correct format. 2 characters separated by colons and all in uppercase. I'll reference this format again in just a moment, so be sure to note it. Associate the user with the group you just created and provide a password for this device. With that, the required steps on the Radius server are complete. Before moving on, verify your configurations. Check that the Radius server is enabled by running the show Radius server configuration command. To view the group you created, use show Radius server group. If you want to see the NAS secret, run show Radius server NAS secret. Keep in mind that the secret will appear encrypted. To review the user you created and see its group association, use the command show Radius server user. Everything looks good here. Move over to the authenticator switch to configure the Radius server settings. Enter the IP address of your Radius server, provide the key, and assign a priority. 0 will work for most cases. This Radius configuration will be used for all authentication purposes on the switch. Next, enable .1x on the switch. If you'd like to monitor authentication events, you can also configure the switch to send .1x failure and success traps. Now you configure the username parameters for Mac-based authentication. These parameters define how the MAC address is formatted and used as a username for the supplicant devices. If you want to see all the available options, refer to the table in the CLI guide for the switch. For now, enter the necessary commands to define the MAC address formatting. Set the password for Mac-based authentication. After that, configure the specific port where the device will connect. Enable .1x on this port. Set it for multiple sessions and specify that you want Mac authentication enabled. Then set the port control to auto. With that, the switch configuration is complete. It's a good idea to double-check your settings. Use the command show Radius servers to review the server you configured. Use show Radius servers key to see the encrypted key. The show.1x command will display your .1x configuration as well as any ports with .1x enabled. In this demonstration, that's port 1. It all looks good. Be sure to save your configuration with the command copy running-config startup-config. Then connect your supplicant devices to the port you just configured. Check the logs to confirm authorization. Mine confirms that my device has been successfully authorized on port 1. For even more detail, enter show.1x users to view information about the authenticated devices. Enter show.1x sessions for a closer look at the session details on that interface. And that's it. You've now seen how to configure MAC-based authentication on Catalyst 1300 switches via CLI. This approach gives you powerful control over network access, especially for devices that can't use standard logins. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.